So, Mum, my mum, when and how did you decide to become a social worker?
Well, I started off studying psychology at university, and it was there that I became aware of some different courses that I didn't know about previously, including social work. And when I learnt what social work was about, I realised that actually that's what I would really enjoy, because psychology to me had more of a science foundation and focus, and social work had more of a community focus, and that's something that I was very passionate about, and that's when I realised that I should study social work.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what key things in your life do you think led to your decision? If there was any.
To be interested in social work?
Yeah, I would say what key
change.
things in your life led to your decision to change to social work?
Well, I guess things in my life that led me to social work are different to the things that led me to change to social work.
Mm-hmm.
So are you interested in more about what led me to social work, or what led me to change from psychology to social work?
Well, I feel like we could look at what led you to change from psychology to social work.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be better for this task.
Okay, so definitely less of a workload for
Yeah.
social work.
Yeah.
Psychology had a lot more years of study, and had a lot of science research focus, which I at the time thought that's not something that I could relate to or was interested in.
Mm-hmm.
So social work, probably the actual degree content made me change. That was the change.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you think makes you a good fit for being a social worker? Oh, yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Well, I started off being a social worker, and I probably wouldn't describe myself as that anymore. But when I was a social worker, I think that what made me a good fit was definitely my empathy and my interest and passion in being of service to others.
Well, what do you think makes you a good fit for what you do now?
So I built on my social work. When I was working with people with disabilities, people with mental health issues, and people with things like chronic pain and things like that. And I worked in funded programs, and realised that we could design better funded programs. So I think what makes me good at my job now is my whole history of work. So everything that I learnt along the way led me to think about like being like really hands-on and working directly with people, and working in funded programs gave me that perspective to then say, well, like more of a strategic perspective, to say, well, actually on a strategic level we could do better for these programs, and we could design them better, and we could monitor and evaluate them so that we can demonstrate impact and improve impact. So yeah, I think it's that progression of a career that led me to where I am now. And does that answer the question?
Yeah. What's important to you about this work? Values, skills / abilities, or interests?
Well, it's very value driven and principle driven. I have a practice framework that's very much about theory driven as well, which theories that I learned in my social work degree. I'm constantly evolving that practice framework, so it's very much about it evolves based on my relationships with people, and stakeholders and the theories that I think are important and relationships that underpin everything. So the other thing I think that's really important is that my job helps government and funders to fund programs that work for people, for vulnerable people or for people who need services, or so it's about being improving effectiveness and impact of the money that goes into services and programs for people.
Makes sense. That's good. How does the specific career/profession require these values? But I guess you kind of said, I guess it requires it.
Well, the other values are things like being like if you're doing research and evaluation, you need to be objective.
Yeah.
You need to be ethical.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a good ability to engage with a broad range of stakeholders and participants, including vulnerable people, people from diverse backgrounds. So they're the main ones, I think. Yeah.
Did you ever doubt your ability to do what you do now, or as a social worker or anything?
Yes, definitely. When I was a new graduate, I had major doubts, and I also thought, well, I'm young, and who would want advice from a young person who doesn't know anything about life? I had a ticket to go to the UK and do social work when I graduated, but I didn't go because I thought that was a pretty I doubted myself. Also, one of my first jobs out of uni was a community development job, and I was the only paid person in the whole program, and I felt the pressure of that, and I really doubted myself to do the work. And plus I didn't know much about the workplace or what was expected in different situations, so I was really just guessing as I went about what the expectations were of everyone. So huge doubts in my early career.
Well, could you tell me what helped you become more confident?
Just doing it.
Doing it more?
Just keep going, just keep trying, and actually having supportive people around you is really helpful. People that let you fail, people that let you figure it out as you go are critical. So if you don't have those people creating a safe space for you, then it's really hard to fail, and it's hard to experiment. And those people can help you. A good supervisor helps you reflect on what went wrong or what you could do better. That's really critical to have regularly. And also good workplace supervisor, but I also had an external supervisor that helped me with some anxieties I had around performance in front of my peers, and that was really important at that time, and I'll always take those lessons with me. But I think the most important thing is a manager that really encourages you to step outside your comfort zone and try new things, and gives you the opportunities to do that. And also always having a growth mindset is critical, because you're always learning, and always the other thing is not thinking that you're the expert in everyone's lives. So that kind of couples with a growth mindset and having a practice framework that you're always adding to.
What were some of the difficult aspects of developing this career? If there were any.
There's not many actually, because there's so many opportunities to do things in this area.
Yeah, that's good.
I think probably one barrier I had that stopped me from working in frontline services was just the feeling of burnout and how it can be quite exhausting. And I needed a break. But actually by having that break, it took me on a slightly different career path, which is where I am now. Which took me away from working frontline, but more in corporate and strategic, which I enjoy too. So I didn't even know I would enjoy that until I did it.
That's awesome. What, if any, aspects about this work are different from what you initially imagined?
Well, I never even knew about this kind of work when I first started,
Mhm.
like doing program evaluation.
Mhm.
I didn't know anything about it.
Well, what about just from the frontline social work? Was it different from what you imagined it would be?
Oh, not really.
It was pretty much what you
No,
expected.
it was what I expected, but when I was at university, we talked about the the obvious jobs that everyone knows about: working in a hospital, um, working at Centrelink, or youth work. They were the headline jobs that everyone knew about.
Mm.
But I eventually got a job in Disability Employment Service, which we didn't really talk about at uni, and I didn't really know about. So I guess that's the thing, is it's not until you actually apply for jobs that you think about different jobs that you would be good at. And so there's some difference there.
Fair enough. Did this have an impact on your fit or enjoyment? I mean, I guess you said you were worried about burning out, but do you think it had an impact on
What have an impact?
like this difference in what you?
No, it just opened up. It was just more variety and interest. So it wasn't a negative thing. It was only positive.
That's
It
good.
was actually good, because when I was at uni, I just thought, there's only these things that I could probably go into, but then when you leave uni and you've got to apply for jobs, then you actually go, I could actually apply for this job, and it's not anything we talked about at uni. So just shows you that there's way more opportunities out there than you realize.
Yeah. What's important to you about this work? What do you find satisfying, and what do you value about your work?
I really love, I just love service to people in my work. So even though I don't serve vulnerable people anymore, I serve program people, and they're the people that are delivering the programs to people, and they're doing the really hard work, and they're engaging, and they're making a difference in people's lives. So I love that I can serve them and support them, and I can say to them, like, especially with like monitoring and learning as their program, they say to me, this doesn't work, but we're going to try this, and I can help them kind of figure out what's valuable, what's a good place to put their energy, and what isn't. And then I can help them capture the impact. So they say, oh, well, we're thinking about this, and then how will we know if it's working? And I can help them figure out if it's working or not. And then so just being able to help people put their energy in the place that is really valuable for them and the people that they're supporting, and give people clarity and purpose in what they're doing, like really help to articulate things for them about the services they're delivering. So that's what I really enjoy.
That's good.
Yep.
What advice would you give to someone who's considering this career?
I would say just go for it, because it's like a really rewarding career, and there's so many different options for employment, and if you're really driven by values and service to other people, I think it's a great career to have.
Cool. All right, well, we're done. Thanks for coming on coming tonight.
You're welcome.
This is part of the interview, it's serious. And now we have to stare into the camera for 20 seconds.
No, we don't.
Yeah, it's for post-production. I'll cut this part out. Okay, cool. We're all done.